Okay, good morning, afternoon, good day, we'll just say year 9, whatever time you're coming to this. We're going to go straight into our starter. So we've got a vocabulary recap starter. Now it does say complete the missing elements of the table and then answer the key questions. So if you look at our table, we can see there might be a moment where you have to write down the key term and to create an icon or add in a definition. So in a minute, you're going to have time to do that. So we've got the vocabulary term resolution. What's the definition of resolution? And the pictures there to help you. Now, for the next row of the table, something is a serious disagreement or argument. It means to be incompatible or to clash. So what's the answer for that one? What's the vocabulary term? And could you draw an image, an icon to illustrate that? And then for the last one, what do we call an overarching story or storyline that gives context, meaning and purpose to all life? And there's a little picture to help us remember. Okay, and then you've got these three sentences to complete or to answer. Okay, so number one, which of these keywords, so which of the three words is linked to the idea of tension and two opposing ideas? Two, which word completes this sentence? A happy ending and cliffhanger ending are examples of different. Brilliant. See what you can come up with that one. And three, which word completes this sentence? The origin stories of the different religions are adding to the explaining the way life begins. So guys, press pause. Now, because it's the starter, there is stuff coming up that's more important. So I don't want you to spend your whole hour doing this starter. I want you to give yourself, as a maximum, about 5 minutes. If you're still working on this in 5 minutes' time, put it to one side and move on with the lesson. Okay, guys, see you in a minute. Okay, guys, so our vocab building, our starter. So resolution was the definition. Did you get it? To settle or find a firm solution to something. Then we had conflict with a little drawing kind of showing conflict, angry faces, crosses, questions, opposition. And then our last one was meta-narrative. So which word is linked to the idea of tension and to opposing ideas? Give yourself a tick if you said conflict. Okay, so although our definition talks about a serious disagreement, argument, to be incompatible, to clash, tension is also a key aspect of conflict. It's that kind of like rubbing together of opinions, views, ideas. Brilliant. Tension and opposing ideas. Now, happy ending and cliffhanger are examples of different resolutions. So resolution means to settle or to find a firm solution to something. And stories do this sometimes by offering the happy ending. That's the one traditionally we're most familiar with. However, we do get cliffhanger endings where we're left maybe unsettled, or the resolution they offer us, particularly in modern stories, has moved on from this idea of tying everything together nicely, and it sometimes ends with a cliffhanger, but they are all different types of resolutions. Brilliant. And last but not least, the origin stories of the different religions are adding to the meta-narrative. Brilliant, the bigger story, the bigger picture, trying to explain in different ways the way life begins. Brilliant. So that's just recapping on those three key terms that will be important for anchoring meaning and ideas as we move on in our learning today. So that was our starter. Now we can keep with the same umbrella title. So if you like a nice title for your work, The Importance of Theme. The date is the 21st of January. There you go, gave you time to write that down. So our title is The Importance of Theme and our date is the 21st of January. Our little subheading today then is, can we identify theme in a new text? Yesterday we were looking at the idea of what is theme. Today we're going to start that process of learning to identify themes, to be able to pick out themes in the text that we read. And how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to look at a text today. Okay, a little bit of teasing, not revealing yet what the text is, but we're going to look at a text today and we're going to practice these different ways of trying to tease out the message, the theme. We're going to work it out. Now, we're going to start by focusing on number one. What is it that the writer wants to teach us about? What is the problem, the conflict, and what resolution does the text offer us? We will then build into that across other lessons, how they are focusing on us on it, why they're doing it, and then we get to test the idea against other texts. Okay, so for us, we're going to use a poem today. Now, guys, why are we going to use a poem? Because poems are lovely, what we call complete units of meaning. Okay, texts is this bigger word. We can apply what we're doing about theme to all manner of texts, whole novels, short stories, sometimes plays. But as a starting point, using a poem is a really good way into exploring theme and how it's presented in the text, because poetry is a complete unit of meaning. This is a complete poem, a complete idea. Also, when we fast forward to GCSE, your ability to analyse poetry, respond to unseen poetry is a key component in one of your exams. So, guys, I just have to do a quick snaps, a quick shout out to Mark R. Slaughter. I did not make this up. This is a modern poem that we're looking at today by a writer called Mark R. Slaughter. Brilliant name. And the poem itself is called Work, Sleep, Work, Sleep. So, guys, the very first thing we're going to do is, as I read this to you, I want you to be thinking, what is his problem? Or the problem? What's the conflict in this poem? In other words, what is grinding the writer's gears? What's creating tension? What seems to be in opposition? And what is the potential resolution? So I just want you to listen to me read this poem to us, okay? So the poem, work, sleep, work, sleep. Work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Oh, free me, please, with gentle ease from work, sleep, work, sleep, work. This odium, pounding tedium of my work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Just whisk me off to lands afar from work, sleep, work, sleep, work. That grinding train of rhythmic pain called work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Poor neural circuits fizzle and pop in work, sleep, work, sleep, work, in trying to make some sense of all this. Work, sleep, work, sleep, work. But hark! I see a golden gleam, a saving spirit of hope. You're fired, he screams. What news to bear this wondrous hangman's rope? So now I'm free, released from all this. Work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Eternal peace and rest for me. No. Work, sleep, work, sleep, work. I really like this poem. A beautiful example of what we call modern poetry. Now, modern poetry has moved towards what we call free verse form, which means sometimes there seems to be an absence of pattern, an absence of repetition of a particular pattern like we see in some traditional poetry forms. So the first thing is work, sleep, is what we call a free verse poem. However, there are some emerging moments of repetition that we will look at in future lessons and some structure and shape. But today is really about this question: what is this guy's problem? Okay, now I'm going to just personalize it. This is a poem written by Mark Slaughter, so I am going to say, what is this guy's problem? Okay, what is the conflict driving this man's experience and his days and his nights? What's he thinking about? What's he worried about? What's he concerned about? Now, I'm going to read it once more, and then we're going to go into some summary activities to help us unpack this question. Now, we could say, well, there seems to be an obvious problem. Okay, this guy is not hiding the problem. No, he's not, because he uses the word an awful lot. But before we go into the problem, I just want to read it once more. But this time, I just want to give you some information before I read it again. Okay, so we've got a little glossary over here. This poet, Mark Slaughter, actually does make some really powerful vocabulary choices. Most of the language he uses is modern language. It's words and phrases that are familiar to us. Work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work. We're familiar with those two words, okay? But some of them actually are vocabulary that we just need to have a moment to think about so that we can anchor our meaning in. So the first word is this lovely word odium. Now I say lovely because it sounds good, doesn't it? Odium. But actually odium itself is a really strong negative vocabulary choice. Look at our glossary. Odium means the widespread hatred or disgust that's incurred as a result of actions. So this is kind of the moment you find that you hate yourself because you've yet again eaten 6 pieces of bread and butter because you're bored. That's odium. when you start to hate yourself because you've done something again that you know you shouldn't do. Odium. And I'm not going to, okay, I was being dramatic, overly dramatic. I don't really hate myself because I've eaten too much bread today or yet another 6 biscuits. But actually, this poem really feels of our time. It really feels of this moment of lockdown life, that we could find ourselves, if we don't manage it well, all experiencing this concept of odium. That we might start to get a little bit angry at ourselves, a little bit disgusted that we keep doing the same thing. That as a result of my actions, you know, I haven't bathed for a week. I've been wearing pajamas for six days. In brackets, I have bathed and I'm not wearing pajamas. Okay, but I'm just giving you the examples we can get trapped in. So odium, and it spreads. Okay, so it gets bigger and bigger. So you start off almost like with odium, there's that moment it feels like a niggle, a nag, but then it builds and it spreads and the emotion heightens. And then you end up with this strong sense of self-hatred or disgust, and you know it's your own fault. Okay, so that's that word odium. We'll look at that in context in a minute. He also partners it in the same line. We'll find it together in a minute, where he talks about tedium. Now, tedium is from the word to be. We use the adjective quite often. It's tedious. It was a tedious meeting. It means that something is long and slow and dull and tiresome and monotonous. In other words, a bit boring and dull. Okay, so there's also then neural circuits. Now, although the words themselves are quite seemingly out of place, when we see them within the poem, they make sense. But neural circuits refers to the different connections within the brain. The way our brain is connected is through neural circuits, and they can complete connections, parts of your brain connecting things together. That's how information gets transferred. So there's something in this poem about something that is creating a sense of tedium, something that is long and slow and dull and tiresome and monotonous. Now that's got to be something that's going to help us work out what the problem is. It is a problem if your life is long and slow and dull and tiresome and monotonous. Monotonous means that same thing happening over again. There is a problem for this guy if something is creating widespread hatred or disgust in him, that sense of odium. And there's something going on inside somebody's brain. We've got the connections. Now, I see it, it keeps standing out at me as I look across the page because it's got the exclamation mark, hark. Now, I haven't put that on our glossary, but I think I just want to quickly mention hark as well. Okay, now hark, the herald angels sing. Hark. Hark means pay attention, listen up, look at me. Okay, it's an old-fashioned, it's an archaic word. We don't use it anymore. Maybe we should more often. Hark, are you listening, Year 9? Hark, pay attention. Okay, so hark is this concept of getting people's attention. Pay attention, listen up. We have news. Okay, so that's that hark one. So now as I read it again, I just will pause around those words. Now remember, we're still looking to secure this understanding. So guys, what is the problem in this poem? Is there a resolution? So work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Free me, please, with gentle ease from work, sleep, work, sleep, work. This odium, pounding tedium of my work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Now we've got our two key words there, odium and tedium. Now if we look at them within that line, okay, this odium, this pounding tedium of my work. Guys, what's our writer's problem? What's he got a problem with? It's a bit hopefully obvious. He's got a problem with work. Now, he doesn't tell us what the work is. He just says my work, but there's a sense that this work is long, slow, dull, tiresome, monotonous, and it's spread in him this hatred and disgust at the boredom and the long, slow, dull, tiresome rhythm of his life. Now, guys, what's he doing if he's not working? Have you worked it out? Work, pardon? Work, kind of feels like, can I hear you? Good. This is a moment, this poem, of somebody's life. And in this person's life, what's going on? The problem is all they do is work or sleep. So this creates the rhythm of a life that is only vacillating and moving between work and sleep and work and sleep. Oh, free me, please, with gentle ease from work, sleep, work, sleep, work. He wants to be free from this rhythm, that somehow this life of his has ended up being nothing but work and sleep, and he wants to be free from it. Okay, how do we know he wants to be free from it? Oh, free me, please. He actually makes it quite clear what he wants at the beginning of this poem. Then, just whisk me off to lands afar from work, sleep, work, sleep, work. That grinding train of rhythmic pain called work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Poor neural circuits fizzle and pop in work, sleep, work, sleep, work, in trying to make some sense of all this work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Now, we said over here neural circuits, the connections within his brain. So in other words, his life is even hurting his brain. Okay, his brain connections, his neural circuits are fizzling and popping in work, sleep, work, in trying to make some sense of all this. So his brain is saying, wait a minute, why is it that this is all we're doing? Why is all we're doing work and sleep and work and sleep? Why are we not ... What else is there? What's missing from a life of work and sleep? What's missing from this man's life? Okay, so he's trapped. He wants to be free. And then, but hark, I see a golden gleam, a saving spirit of hope. You're fired, he screams. What news to bear this wondrous hangman's rope? Now, the problem is work, the rhythm of his life, that he is trapped in this cycle of work and sleep, and he wants to be free. Now, this is a lovely, delicious moment. Okay, I get very pleased by language and poetry because it's such a concise, precise use of language, and it does some really clever things. Because actually, guys, this lead-in, but hark, I see a golden gleam, a saving spirit of hope. We're imagining something almost wondrous. We're imagining something magical is coming to free him. But what really happens to him? You're fired, he screams. So you get this lovely, delicious juxtaposition between, actually, for what a lot of people would be the worst news they could hear. Somebody screaming at you, you're fired. That would be like an even bigger problem than the problem of work itself for some people. But for the character, or for the voice in this poem, for Slaughter, he sees being fired as a golden gleam, a saving spirit of hope. It is good news to him that he is fired, because it frees him from the work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. What news to bear this wondrous hangman's rope? Now, we are going to do our a build on the language of this poem, but we're just getting our head around it, saying, what news to bear this wondrous hangman's rope? Now, not going to lie, a hangman is not good news to some people. In the olden days, it was a form of execution that people would be hung for committing a crime. Now, for our man, he's using, and this is where we have to say, the power of language comes in, because he's using really this metaphor that being fired is like being hung. It's the news of the hangman's rope. In other words, he's escaping this life. He's escaping the life of work and sleep through being fired. It's an escape. So now I'm free, released from all this work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Eternal peace and rest for me. Now, eternal peace and rest for me. He's either optimistic that he's never going to get another job, so he's going to exist in eternal peace and rest because he's never going to work again, or we start to see a little darker undertone. Is he saying that the only release from this life of sleep and work and sleep isn't actually really being fired, but the being fired itself is the metaphor? Maybe this is a guy that is actually saying the only real release is eternal peace, euphemism to pass on. Eternal peace and rest for me, no. Work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Now again, getting very nerdy here, but I love that. That's a very deliberate, simple thing he's done. If he wanted to end on the real idea that this man has escaped and that the resolution of this poem is, I'm free, he would have placed the no at the beginning of the line. So actually it would have said, eternal peace and rest for me. No work, sleep, work, sleep, work. So actually we would have ended on the seemingly resolution that this poem settles on the idea that there is no work, sleep for him, that he's escaped the rhythm. Now this simple placement of this no means we break there. Eternal peace and rest for me? No. Actually, work, sleep, work, sleep, work. that rhythm of the life he's created, where all he does is work and sleep, continues. There is no actual escape from it. So this is a poem that makes us think there's one resolution, one ending. Oh, eternal peace, he's been fired, he's escaped. No work or sleep for him anymore, but just that placement on the line. It's a very clever poem. So guys, what you're going to do, okay, based on what I've just spoken to you about, okay, you're going to get to pause in a minute. Now, again, we've got each red sentence here is a summary sentence, okay, and you're going to copy and complete the summary sentences as they appear into your books, okay. So I'm just going to talk you through now. The gaps within the summary sentences isn't indicative that you've only got to write a really small little short word. You might actually end up writing more in the gaps, but you're going to pause in a minute and allow yourself the time to work through this poem and to summarize each stanza. Now, a few things I need to tell you before you do that. I introduced this lovely, strange, beautiful word, stanza. Now, you might remember it from year 8. You might remember it if you've done a little bit of this unit already. A stanza is how we talk about the organized ideas within a poem. So when we talk about novels or writing academic essays or writing story, even the writing we did last week, we were building sentences into paragraphs. Paragraph is how we organize ideas within stories, within fiction. Poetry has its own vocabulary, guys, and we're going to be learning some of that vocabulary this week, okay? But the first vocabulary item then is the stanza. So when it says the opening stanza, the next stanza, in this stanza, we're going to write a sentence of summary about each stanza in this poem. So just really quickly count with me. We've got stanza 1 over here, stanza 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 stanzas. Okay, we've got 6 stanzas in this poem. So each of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, those two are together. We've got 6 summary statements that we're going to work on, or you're going to do for me in a minute. Now, it says here, the opening stanza sets up a link between blank and blank. Blankety blank, blankety blank. So, the opening stanza sets up a link between. Now, guys, look at this opening stanza. There are only 2 words. What are those 2 words? And work, sleep. And it's actually this little bit up here as well is the title of the poem. It's called Work, Sleep by Mark Slaughter. So the opening stanza is creating a link between work and sleep. Okay. In other words, what is that link, guys? Yeah, all this person does is work or sleep. These are the 2 options of their life. Now, I said, what would you like to do between work and sleep? School or sleep? Me, walking my dog seems to be the only thing at the moment that I can do that gives me a break from work and sleep, or binge watching Netflix, or enjoying TV, eating. So the truth is, we can all actually connect to this poem, I think, a little bit. I know I can, because it does sometimes feel like we get caught in this repetition and this rhythm of a life where all we do is work or sleep, and we lose the bits in between. So anyway, the opening stanza sets up a link between work and sleep. Now again, guys, you could expand that summary sentence. The opening stanza sets up a rhythmic link between work and sleep. The opening stanza sets up a depressing link between work and sleep. Now the link between work and sleep is, this is all the person does. The link between work and sleep is, this is a summary of this person's life. This is all they do. So we can see work, sleep. Now, this is a clever little moment here. We'll come back to this because it doesn't end stanza 1 with a full stop. Oh, no, 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 no. It's using this colon to say, well, actually, this idea is continuing. It's linked to stanza 2. So let's have a look then. The next stanza helps to focus on the idea that blank is a problem because. So in this one, we're looking just to tease out for our summary sentence, what's the problem and why is it a problem, okay? Oh, free me, please, with gentle ease from work, sleep, work, sleep, work, exclamation mark. So that's why I went loud there. This odium pounding tedium of my work, sleep, work, sleep. Now, to help us do this one, remember what tedium and odium mean? You can look back on the next slide. So the next stanza helps focus on the idea that, so what's the problem? Is the sleep the problem? Okay, no, maybe not. That work is a problem because it's boring, it's monotonous, it's tiresome, it creates hate, he hates it. So you've got some ideas for that one, okay? So let's have a look then. In this stanza, there is a solution offered. The speaker wants to be. So this is his problem. Then he thinks there's a potential solution in this one. What does he want to do then to help him get away from the problem of work? Just whisk me off to lands afar from work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. That grinding train of rhythmic pain called work, sleep, work, sleep, work. So what's his solution? At the beginning of the stanza, he says what the potential solution could be. You're going to fill in that one in a minute. Okay, so here we go. What's another problem caused? Another problem caused by blank is that his. So what's happening in this stanza? Now, this one's a little bit harder, so do it in stages. So poor neural circuits fizzle and pop in work, sleep, in trying to make some sense of all this work, sleep, work, sleep. So he's saying his brain, the connections in his brain, fizzle and pop in work, sleep, trying to make some sense of all this work, sleep, work. So another problem caused by work, sleep is that so what's neural circuits a part of again? And what's his brain trying to do? It's trying to make sense of it all. It's trying to give itself a reason for why he does this. So another problem caused by the work sleep trap is that his brain is trying to make sense of it, is that his brain hurts. He's literally hurting his own brain trying to work this out. Okay. The solution offered in this stanza, however, is unexpected. He is saved from work by being. Okay, so what's the solution here? But hark, I see a golden gleam, a saving spirit of hope. You're fired, he screams. What news to bear this wondrous hangman's rope? So what's the solution for that one? That's an easier one. Okay, so now I'm free, released from all this work, sleep, work, eternal peace and rest for me. No! Work, sleep, work, sleep, work. So the final stanza shows the resolution of being. So he does say, I'm free, doesn't he? So the resolution is that there's somehow a freedom. Now, the but one. So we could just end here. The final stanza shows the resolution of being free, of being released from work, sleep. But if you're thinking, like me, there is a but. If you look beyond the obvious, what's the hint, though? That really the only escape from work sleep is either, what do we say eternal peace stands for? Or that actually there is no escape until you. So actually it's a bit of an unsettled, this is not a happy end, really, but if you look beyond the obvious, it hints that really the only escape, the only way to be free from the work sleep thing is going to be sadly when you find eternal peace, maybe when you die. So this is a problem poem with a resolution. So just pause there and give yourself time to copy and complete those statements. Okay, off you go. Okay, guys, so we've got our summary sentences that are dealing with the what of each stanza of the poem. So now we're going to use that just to get us thinking about the theme. Okay, so what does the writer want to teach us about? What's the conflict in this poem? What's the clash between? Now, the truth is, we might want to go too quickly. Sorry, I was just going to do this because I want to type our answers in as we think about this together. We might want to go too quickly to the link between sleep and work, but actually that's not the clash. The clash is between something else because actually all the writer does is work and sleep. So really, the writer wants to teach us about the conflict caused by the clash between work and what does the guy really want? What does he want? He repeats the words. Okay, in the final one, he says, so now I'm brilliant, free. So really, the writer wants to teach us about the conflict caused by the clash between wanting to be free. So what's the opposite of being free then? What's the opposite of freedom? Being a slave, being trapped. And what's our guy trapped by? Good, that kind of cycle of work and sleep. So let's put that down then. The writer wants to teach us about the conflict caused by the clash between being trapped in a cycle of work and sleep whilst wanting to be. What does he want? was wanting to be free. Lovely. So you're going to copy and complete these. So this is just starting to think about our theme, the emerging theme. So there's a sense then the writer wants to teach us about the conflict caused by the clash between being trapped in a cycle of work and sleep whilst wanting to be free. Okay, not only is the problem that, but also, so why is work a problem? What are the two things he says is happening as a result of his work-sleep trap? So we said then, when he talks about the odious, tedious elements, not only is the problem that he is bored seems small, doesn't it, for what's the real problem? Can we think of a word that's bigger than, not only is the problem that he is, well, can we, that bored and trapped, but also, now, he says that his brain pops and fizzles trying to work it out. He talks about actually being on a, what was the train? Where the word that rhymes with train? Have a quick look. Yes, pain. So not only is the problem that he is so bored, it hurts. I'm just changing it as we go. Not only is the problem that he's so bored it hurts, but also his brain can't. Now, he talks about, doesn't he? We're just looking that in that stanza that his brain is trying to make some sense of it all. But there's also then his brain can't find a reason for it. And what's the it for why he has to work this way? Brilliant. So we're starting to get to grips now with the theme. So the writer wants to teach us about the conflict caused by the clash between being trapped in a cycle of work and sleep whilst wanting to be free. Not only is the problem that he's so bored it hurts, it literally causes him pain. Just going to change that one, sorry. But also his brain can't find a reason for why he has to work this way. There is no reason for it. Despite seemingly solving the problem as, so the first solution is he's good, fired. The resolution itself seems, what could we say? Despite seemingly solving the problems he's fired, the resolution itself seems unsettled. Now, guys, the reason I put my bits in red, all the black bits are the sentence stems that you can complete in your own way. I've given you one way that we can summarize the theme. Your job is just to have a summary of the theme in your own words. Okay, so you can copy and complete this one. We've talked through it together, or you can change some of the words to put it, to use your own language, your own ideas. Okay, so just to kind of show you where we've been then, we've begun to explore that this is a theme and an emerging message. Now, we cannot say it's a definite theme yet because we've only looked at one text. So part of the work we will do as we build on this, on this idea this week, is we will start to integrate other texts. But work is a non-example of a theme because it's only one word. When we say in this poem, the writer thinks the way we work and live is a problem, is a non-example of theme so far because it's only linked to one poem. We know in the future then that the way we work and live is a problem because it causes pain and suffering. And we're going to see and come back to these ideas to see if this theme is in any of the other texts we look at. And considering that I can already link some of these ideas to just my own experience in lockdown, that work sleep, I think we're going to see that this is an emerging message for 20th century people like you, like me, that we have got out of balance, haven't we? In our relationship to work and sleep and work and life, we are a little bit out of balance. So guys, you should have your sentence stems completely done, and then this summary of theme. And I look forward to unpacking the poem in more detail with you tomorrow.